What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and as expected, a lot of people have had a lot to say about the news that, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino of the FBI had to come out today and yesterday in what appeared to be a hostage video and tell the rest of the world, even though they've all made dozens and dozens of statements about having questions around what exactly happened to old Jeffrey. Well, Jeffrey's family has come out and now slammed the Trump administration as well, really just the FBI, and has refuted directly this nonsense that, at least in my opinion, that there was no shenanigans. We'll just say that there were no shenanigans. That's what Kash Patel and Dan Bongino told us to our face in what was a very uncomfortable video. Let's get into the back and forth here. Given the nature of the video, I know what YouTube's going to do, so I'll take a quick chance to let you guys know I marked those Coffee Brand Coffee gift boxes down 40% off. I'm clearing them all out. Everyone we got, it's got to go. Don't even think about it like a gift box. Look, Father's Day is like in less than a month. You could get it for Father's Day, or it's just a sampler, our blueberry cobbler, our Colombian roast, honey sticks, yogurt-covered pretzels, and chocolate-covered espresso beans, all around $50 with free overnight shipping. Only available till they're gone. I'm never sending more to Amazon ever again. But I want to get these out before it gets too hot. So link in the description. If you need a Father's Day gift, bam, done. If you just want a great sample of what we have at 40% off, bam, done. If you already enjoy these products and you want to stock up, there you go. I don't know how long they'll stay in stock, but, I'm selling through until they're gone. So Jeffrey's brother slams Trump administration for the verdict on his life and shares his new evidence that it, in fact, was not at his own hands. Jeffrey's brother has eviscerated Trump's FBI director, Kash Patel, for stating that the disgraced financier's passing was of his own hand. Despite that being the official ruling, the creep is always younger brother, Mark, told the Daily Mail that Patel, quote, wasn't there. He never saw the body. He didn't see the autopsy. He has no idea what the F he's talking about. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement. Look, watching these two humiliate themselves on TV, it looked like a, humiliation ritual to me. I'm just being honest. I've always liked Kash. I've always liked Dan. Maybe they somebody who's holding them against their will. I don't know. It did not look normal. They did not look confident. They did not look like the normal people that I am used to seeing. It would be a lot easier for me to say if I had thought he took his own life, but there is a long list of things that point away from it, he added. The row comes after Kash Patel and FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino upset conspiracy theorists on Sunday by giving their verdict on his passing back in 2019. They sat down with Barr and basically, again, looked like they were in a hostage video. Patel said that everyone has a right to their opinion. Two guys that for the past several years have told their entire followings. Now, obviously, Dan has a bigger following than Kash Patel. But, I mean, I spoke with yesterday on my live show, by the way, every day, 2 p.m. Eastern on Rumble, with two people that talked directly to Kash and confirmed that Kash absolutely had refuted the Jeffrey story. Okay. He had, as someone who had worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor who's been in prison system, blah, blah, blah. He took his own life. Bongino said, I've seen the whole file. He did it. Now, again, I would say, and he could probably still save it today. If this file really does, clear up all the questions that people had. All the questions that people had. If it cleared it up, that's cool. Then just share it. You can't hide behind, Jelaine has her appeal. No, don't care. If you want me to ever believe you again, what you told us, Dan and Kash, is that you looked in this file and everything had an answer. The reason the guards were asleep, the reason the camera was gone, the reason his celly was moved, the reason that his medical injuries are not consistent with what he did. The reason that people like Steven Crowder reenacted it and proved to me that it was impossible to happen the way they said it had happened. His brother counts himself among the many who believe that Kash Patel and Bongino are wrong and that his brother actually did not take his own life. His reasoning is multiple, including having personally bought and tested a bedsheet similar to the one supposedly used by Jeffrey in the correctional center. He was allegedly found using that bedsheet, hanging an inch off the floor, his feet extended in front of him while he waited for trial. However, Mark claims that through his own testing, using weights similar to his brother's own body weight, that he had found that the bedsheet could never have supported his body. I don't think the sheet could have held his weight. It would have torn, he claimed. Mark also claimed an explanation for his brother's passing given by then Attorney General Bill Barr as asinine and ludicrous, pointing to issues with security cameras in the Metropolitan Correction Center. 2 cameras trained on a cell were not properly working, he added. What a coincidence. So Bill Barr came out and said he personally viewed the video and no one went in or out of the tier where he was housed. When I heard that, I said this is a cover-up. There are 6 levels of security in that prison before you even get to that tier, he claimed. But there were 11 or 12 inmates on the tier. They would have not had to go in or out of that tier to take somebody's life. Supposedly, cell doors were left locked. There's your answer. Somebody could have gone into his cell and taken his life. Certainly possible. Certainly possible. It's at least as possible as, the likelihood that he had some super strong sheet. Now, it's one thing to have somebody go in there and take his life. It's another thing to leave the door open and let nature take its course kind of thing. I don't know. Mark added that the initial certificate, the cause of the recording, is pending further study, but then quickly was changed to self-termination. If you ask any pathologist, it takes weeks before you get an answer. What further study was done in those few days that led to that determination? Mark also claimed that his brother was clean-shaven in the autopsy photos. Shavings happened on Fridays at the prison, and Jeffrey was found on Saturday morning. But he was hairy, Mark said. He would have had more stubble, and if he had been passed away for 2 hours when found as reported. Mark alleges he at least would have had to have passed hours earlier. Mark also claims that there was no lividity, which is skin discoloration that occurs due to the settling of blood after passing on his legs or rear end. Instead, he says it was only present on his upper back. That's startling. The blood would not have traveled to his back, he said. Mark believes his brother obviously didn't do what they say he did, what he knew and what he had on people. In the 2016 election, I asked him casually who he thought would win. Mark recalled of his brother. He said, I don't know, but what I knew about both candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. He didn't tell me what he knew, but that's what he said. President Trump had shared his own skepticism about the ruling over the past several years. Before taking office, he promised to release all the documents relating to the investigation of the billionaire. And look, fair is fair. Maybe all those documents were destroyed long before Trump ever took office. That's entirely possible. Maybe all those documents were destroyed before Dan Bongino and Kash Patel ever took office. But that is not what Dan and Kash said. Dan and Kash stared into the camera and said, you're crazy if you think that you shouldn't trust us. And they gave no evidence. Attorney General Pam Bondi made good on the promise the following month, dropping what she called phase 1. She didn't make good on anything. She released a bunch of files we already had. However, there are no bombshells in the first wave of documents, which included previously public flight logs and contact lists. Exactly. It was already public. The contact list showed heavily redacted information for dozens of Hollywood politicians, fashion elites that had purportedly been compiled by Jeffrey and his longtime Madam Ghislaine Maxwell. Names that weren't redacted included Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson, Alec Baldwin, Andrew Cuomo, Naomi Campbell, and Courtney Love. Both Harvey and Bob Weinstein, the late Senator Ted Kennedy, actor Ralph Fiennes, Alan Dershowitz, John Kerry, Dustin Hoffman, Donald Trump's late first wife, Ivana, and their daughter Ivanka were also included. the president himself was not listed. I mean, look, I have now completely consumed the black pill. We're never getting anything. The fact that his brother comes out, who's done a bunch of research, and says, yo, there's just no way this happened, shared new evidence saying, hey, this is where the blood settled, all this kind of stuff. If there is an explanation for that, then why haven't Kash and Dan Bongino done that? Patel and Bongino face mega wrath after dismissing conspiracy theories. I mean, I don't care about whether you're a Republican or Democrat. Democrats don't seem to care. They always said this was a conspiracy theory, even though their politicians, they knew that their politicians would have been implicated. This isn't partisan for me, folks. I fully believe with 100% of my heart that there are Democrats and Republicans that took part in this. The only reasonable answer is that he was, in fact, a government asset, and that they knew it, and Kash and Dan know it, and they can't say it. Now, was he a government asset for just America? I don't think so. I think there are other very fine friends, perhaps very important allies of America, that also were using him for compromise on people. They're never going to tell us if Kash and Dan can be bought or be threatened into silence. Then we're never going to know the truth. And with that, I think we can write the end of we will never get justice on this. It's disappointing for everyone involved. It's not the outcome I was hoping for, but I think deep down inside, it was the one I expected. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.